A few years ago, I was looking at the cardiovascular scans of a 71-year-old woman. Let's call her Margaret. When I looked at the state of her heart and her arteries, I was genuinely taken aback. Her arteries did not look like the vital, flexible tissue they were supposed to be. They looked like rigid, calcified pipes. She was exhausted, taking multiple blood pressure pills every single day, and her numbers were still dangerously, stubbornly high. Margaret looked at me with tears in her eyes and asked a question that haunts me to this day. She said, "Doctor, I am not lazy. I don't ignore my health. I do absolutely everything the medical guidelines tell me to do. Why is my body failing me?" What I told her next is exactly what I am going to tell you right now. Because the real solution to her life or death problem wasn't waiting at the bottom of another prescription bottle. It was sitting silently in her kitchen the entire time. Today, I am going to reveal 5 everyday ordinary foods that act like potent natural medicine for your cardiovascular system. No exhausting side effects, no new pharmacy trips, just food, working the exact way nature always intended it to work. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you are going to know exactly how to turn your kitchen into your best defense against hypertension, starting tonight. But to understand why these 5 foods are so miraculous, we first need to uncover the terrifying, silent process that was destroying Margaret's blood vessels in the first place. Here is the absolute truth that often gets skipped in rushed 15-minute doctor appointments. After you cross the age of 60, your blood pressure doesn't just spike because you had a stressful day at work or because you accidentally put a little too much salt on your dinner. Something far deeper, much more sinister and completely invisible is happening inside the walls of your arteries right now. Think of your blood vessels like a brand new garden hose or a fresh rubber band. When we are in our 20s and 30s, that hose is incredibly flexible. It stretches effortlessly, it absorbs the intense pressure of the water rushing through it, and it handles the flow without a single problem. But as the decades pass, the walls of those vessels begin to change. They start to stiffen, they lose their youthful elasticity. And as you can probably imagine, a rigid, stiff hose simply cannot handle the exact same pressure that a flexible one can. That is precisely when things start to go terribly wrong inside your chest. I have spent 30 years working as a cardiac surgeon. I have physically held living human hearts in my hands. I have repaired arteries that looked so damaged they belonged in someone 20 years older than the patient on the table. And every single time I see that level of destruction, I ask myself, how did it get this far? The answer is almost always the same word. A word you hear all the time but probably don't fully understand. Inflammation. It is a chronic, silent, slow-burning inflammation buried deep in the walls of your blood vessels. You do not feel it. There is no obvious symptom, no pain, no alarm bell. But day after day, year after year, it quietly stiffens and narrows those crucial vessels. Because of this, your heart is forced to work harder and harder and harder, just to push the same amount of blood through your body. So where does your kitchen come into play? Because what you choose to eat 3 times a day is doing one of 2 things. It is either actively fighting that slow-burning inflammation, or it is pouring gasoline on it. Every single meal is a critical decision your body makes about your blood pressure. Let's start with the easiest fix you can make tonight. And surprisingly, it has nothing to do with changing what you eat, but changing the exact order in which you eat it. Let me ask you a question. When you sit down for dinner tonight, what is the very first thing you reach for with your fork? If you are like the vast majority of people, you are probably going for the warm bread roll, the mashed potatoes, the rice, or whatever carbohydrate is closest to you. I need you to stop doing that. Starting tonight, I want you to try something that sounds almost too ridiculously simple to be real. I want you to eat your vegetables first. Completely finish your greens before you touch anything else on that plate. Every single meal. I can hear your skepticism. You are thinking, "Doctor, that is your big medical secret?" Hear me out. When you consume your vegetables first, the natural fiber in those vegetables travels down into your stomach and forms a physical mesh. It creates a literal barrier. And what that biological barrier does is truly remarkable. It dramatically slows down how fast the sugar from the rest of your meal, the rice, the bread, the dessert, enters your bloodstream. Why does the speed of sugar entering your blood matter so much for your blood pressure? Because every single time your blood sugar spikes sharply after a heavy meal, your body panics. It perceives a crisis and releases a massive flood of insulin to handle the sugar. That sudden insulin surge physically causes your blood vessels to constrict and tighten up. Right there, while you are sitting comfortably at the dinner table laughing with your family, your blood pressure is skyrocketing, and you have absolutely no idea it is happening. I have had patients who changed nothing else about their lives. They ate the exact same food, the exact same portion sizes, and took the exact same medications. They just changed the sequence. Vegetables first, protein second, carbohydrates last. And their post-meal blood pressure readings dropped noticeably within just 2 weeks. My 71-year-old patient told me it was the easiest thing she had ever done for her cardiovascular health, and she was entirely correct. So tonight, before you even look at the bread, finish the greens. Now let's talk about something that has probably been sitting in your kitchen pantry for years, gathering dust, completely ignored. I am talking about a simple bottle of apple cider vinegar. The protocol is incredibly straightforward. Just 1 to 2 tablespoons diluted in a large glass of water, consumed with every meal. That is it. Again, good, healthy skepticism is what keeps us from falling for internet nonsense. So let me show you exactly why this works, because there is hard, undeniable science behind it. The active, powerful ingredient inside apple cider vinegar is called acetic acid, and acetic acid performs 2 very specific, very important miracles for your blood pressure. First, it drastically improves your body's insulin sensitivity. Remember those dangerous post-meal blood sugar spikes we just talked about that squeeze your blood vessels shut? Acetic acid actively blunts that spike. It helps your cells respond to insulin much more efficiently, meaning your pancreas doesn't have to release nearly as much of it. Less insulin circulating in your blood means less constriction of your vessels. Less constriction means lower pressure. Second, and this is the part that genuinely excited me as a surgeon when I first read the clinical research, acetic acid actually stimulates the production of a molecule called nitric oxide inside your blood vessel walls. Nitric oxide is your body's ultimate natural vasodilator. It is the chemical messenger that screams at your arteries to relax and open up wide. Apple cider vinegar is essentially doing exactly what an entire class of expensive blood pressure medications tries to do, but it does it naturally, for about $3 a bottle. Before we move on to the terrifying thing that happens to your heart while you sleep, I want to hear from you. Have you ever tried apple cider vinegar for anything in your daily routine? I would love to know in the comments what you have heard about it, what you have tried, and what surprised you. Now, one crucial medical warning. Do not ever drink it straight. Always, always dilute it in at least 8 ounces of water. Undiluted vinegar is highly acidic and can permanently damage your tooth enamel or irritate your esophagus. Use a straw if you can. And if you have a history of severe stomach ulcers or chronic acid reflux, you must have a conversation with your primary care doctor before starting this. But for the vast majority of people over 60, 1 glass with breakfast, 1 with lunch, and 1 with dinner is one of the safest additions you can make. But let me ask you a frightening question. Do you check your blood pressure in the morning? Most responsible adults do. But here is what almost nobody in the medical field talks about. What happens to your fragile arteries while you are fast asleep? For many people over the age of 60, their blood pressure does not drop the way nature intended during the night. Biologically, when you lay down to sleep, your pressure should go down. It is supposed to give your exhausted heart a desperately needed rest. But in a very dangerous condition known as nocturnal hypertension, your pressure stays elevated, or it even suffers violent spikes while you are lying there in bed, completely unaware. Your heart is essentially working overtime in the dark. Your arteries are under massive, sustained stress, and you wake up the next morning feeling tired, groggy, and wondering why you have no energy. Nocturnal hypertension is one of the most underdiagnosed, dangerous patterns I see in my practice. It is directly linked to a significantly higher risk of devastating strokes and sudden heart attacks. And the most troubling part? Your regular daytime blood pressure readings will never catch it. You can have perfectly acceptable morning numbers and still have a catastrophic problem happening every single night. So how do we protect you in the dark? What do walnuts have to do with this? Quite a lot, actually. Eating about 30 grams of walnuts, which is roughly 14 halves, exactly 30 minutes before you go to bed, has been shown in multiple rigorous studies to meaningfully reduce nighttime blood pressure. Here is the biological reason why. Walnuts are one of nature's richest plant sources of alpha-linolenic acid, which is a powerful plant-based omega-3 fatty acid. Furthermore, they contain natural melatonin and a highly effective compound called L-arginine. Together, this specific trio of nutrients works in synergy while you sleep to relax your blood vessel walls, drastically reduce vascular inflammation, and support that natural nighttime pressure drop your body is begging for. Think of those 14 walnut halves as a gentle biological signal to your cardiovascular system that says, "It is time to rest, stand down." Write that down. 30 grams, 14 halves, 30 minutes before bed. Now, what if I told you about a vibrant, deep red flower that is so chemically powerful, it actually mimics the effects of standard pharmacy medications? I am talking about a flower used in traditional medicine across Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East for centuries. A flower that modern cardiology has finally undeniably caught up with. I am talking about hibiscus tea. The clinical protocol is 3 cups a day. If you have never heard of hibiscus tea, you might know it by another name, sorrel, carcaday, or simply red tea. It has a sharp, tart, cranberry-like flavor, and it is remarkably powerful for your vascular health. Here is the deep science. Hibiscus flowers contain brilliant compounds called anthocyanins and specific organic acids. When you ingest these compounds, they act on your blood vessels in a way that is strikingly similar to a major class of prescription medications called ACE inhibitors. You have very likely heard of ACE inhibitors. They are among the most commonly prescribed blood pressure drugs on the entire planet. What they do is chemically block an enzyme in your body that causes your blood vessels to constrict and tighten. Hibiscus tea does the exact same thing. It blocks that constricting enzyme naturally. And it does it without the chronic, irritating dry cough that so many patients complain about as a miserable side effect of the pharmaceutical version. This isn't just folklore. A definitive study published in the prestigious Journal of Nutrition found that drinking hibiscus tea daily reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 7 points in adults with mildly elevated pressure. 7 points. In the world of cardiology, that is clinically significant. That is the kind of massive result that makes doctors take notice and change their protocols. 3 cups a day. You can drink it hot in the morning or iced in the afternoon. But hear me clearly, no sugar, or very minimal sugar, because as we discussed earlier, sugar will completely reverse and destroy everything we are trying to build here. If you absolutely need to sweeten it, a small spoon of natural honey is perfectly fine. If you are already taking a prescription ACE inhibitor medication, you must talk to your doctor before adding hibiscus tea to your daily routine, because combining a potent natural ACE inhibitor with a pharmaceutical one can actually push your blood pressure dangerously low. We want healthy balance, not an overcorrection. Before I expose the most toxic inflammatory ingredient hiding in your kitchen, the one the multi-billion-dollar food industry desperately hopes you never throw away, I have a quick favor to ask. If you are finding real value in this video and if you want to understand how your body truly works, please hit that subscribe button. Every single week I bring you honest, strictly evidence-based medical information that I desperately wish every one of my patients had access to long before they ended up needing open heart surgery. Hit subscribe and let's keep your heart beating strong. Now, I want you to walk into your kitchen the moment this video is over. Open your cupboards and look very closely at the cooking oils you have in there, because what I am about to tell you might be the most crucial, life-saving piece of information in this entire presentation. It is also the exact thing that massive food manufacturers have spent a great deal of money making sure you do not fully understand. Most of the standard cooking oils that line supermarket shelves, canola oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, and corn oil, are extremely unnaturally high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, to be scientifically fair, omega-6 isn't inherently evil. Your body does need a tiny amount of it to function. The massive problem is the modern ratio. For most of human history, people consumed roughly equal amounts of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids. Today, the average person consumes anywhere from 15 to 20 times more omega-6 than omega-3. 15 to 20 times. That extreme unnatural imbalance drives something that every single cardiologist and cardiac surgeon dreads: chronic systemic inflammation. Remember that slow-burning fire inside your blood vessel walls we talked about at the very beginning of this video? The kind that stiffens your arteries year after year? Excess omega-6 from these highly refined industrial seed oils is one of the primary fuels feeding that deadly fire. Every single time you cook your dinner with canola or soybean oil, you are literally adding liquid inflammation to your cardiovascular system. And it actually gets worse. These oils are chemically unstable at high heat. When you heat them to standard cooking temperatures in a frying pan, they oxidize. They break down into highly toxic compounds called aldehydes, which are directly aggressively toxic to your blood vessel walls. You can't see it happening. Your food doesn't taste any different, but the vascular damage accumulates with every single meal you eat. So what on earth should you use instead? You need two things. First, extra virgin olive oil. Use it for everything that doesn't require very high heat: salad dressings, light sautéing, or just drizzling over your vegetables. Extra virgin olive oil is incredibly rich in oleocanthal, a potent natural anti-inflammatory compound, and it is packed with monounsaturated fats that actively support healthy blood vessel function. Decades of rigorous research back this up without any serious debate. And for higher heat cooking, real butter. Yes, I am a cardiac surgeon and I just said butter, not margarine. Margarine is made from the exact same problematic, heavily processed vegetable oils we are desperately trying to eliminate. Real, traditional butter, preferably from grass-fed cows, used in reasonable amounts, is a far better choice for your delicate cardiovascular system than the highly refined, oxidized seed oils most people are carelessly cooking with every single day. I know this goes against the narrative. I know you were told 20 or 30 years ago that butter was the ultimate villain and vegetable oil was the hero. I heard that exact same message too, but the science has moved on, and as a cardiac surgeon who has literally seen inside thousands of human chests, I can promise you the physical evidence points clearly in a different direction. Check your cupboard tonight. If you have canola or soybean oil, you don't necessarily have to throw it away immediately, but just stop buying it. When it runs out, replace it with extra virgin olive oil. That one single change alone, over 3 to 6 months, can make a highly measurable difference in your inflammatory blood markers and in your blood pressure readings. Now we need to bring all of this together because information without action is useless. I want to stop here for a second. You have just heard 5 actionable strategies. Eat vegetables first, drink apple cider vinegar with meals, eat walnuts before bed, drink hibiscus tea 3 times a day, and replace toxic seed oils with olive oil and real butter. I can easily predict what some of you are thinking right now. Doctor, this sounds way too simple. If it really truly worked, my primary care doctor would have told me about it years ago. I understand that reaction completely. I had that exact same thought early in my medical career. But here is what 30 years of opening human chests and repairing violently damaged hearts has taught me. The absolute most powerful medical interventions are almost never the most complicated ones. The human body is not looking for overwhelming complexity. It is simply looking for the right conditions to heal itself. And here is what genuinely shocks me even now. Every single one of these 5 strategies works through the exact same fundamental biological mechanism: reducing inflammation and improving blood vessel flexibility. That is it. That is the whole game. It is 5 different doors, all leading to the exact same room. The 71-year-old woman I told you about at the beginning of this video, the one whose arteries were exhausted. After we spoke, she made every single one of these changes. She did it slowly, carefully, and in constant conversation with her cardiologist. 6 months later, she came back for her follow-up. Her doctor had comfortably reduced her from multiple medications down to a minimal dose. Her inflammatory markers had plummeted. Her pressure was stable, genuinely stable, for the first time in a decade. She looked at me and said, "Why didn't anyone tell me this sooner?" That question stays with me every single day. It is exactly why I make videos like this one. Because the life-saving information exists. The clinical research exists. But somewhere between the high-tech laboratory, the rushed doctor's office, and the patient sitting helplessly at their kitchen table, the truth gets lost. Well, you are sitting at that kitchen table right now, and you have absolutely everything you need to start saving your own life tonight. Not tomorrow, Not next month after your next appointment, tonight. But here is my final most important rule for you. Do not try to do all 5 of these things at once. Sustainable health changes do not come from doing everything perfectly for a week and then burning out from stress. It comes from making one small decision and repeating it consistently until it becomes totally invisible, until it is just the way you live your life. So before you close this video, I want you to pick just one. Maybe it's eating the vegetables first. Maybe it's ordering some hibiscus tea online. Maybe it's checking that oil cupboard right now. Just pick one. I would love to know which of these 5 you are going to try first. Tell me in the comments below. I read them all. And if this video helped you, or if you know someone you love who is struggling with their health, please share this with them. There are people in your life right now who need exactly this information and have absolutely no idea it exists. Take care of your heart. It has been working for you every single minute of your life without ever asking for anything in return. It deserves this. Please remember, everything I have shared today is general information based on current research and my clinical experience. It is not a replacement for your personal medical care. Please do not stop or reduce any medication your doctor has prescribed without speaking to them first. Bring this information to your next appointment. Have the conversation. Your doctor is your partner in this, and these 5 strategies work absolute best when they work alongside proper medical supervision. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.